This conference will now be recorded.
Hi friends, good morning. So in this Business Intelligence Master Program, this is our 10th session. In this session, we will see how to copy JSON and CSV files from input container to the output container as a CSV file. So this is the lab which is pending since last two sessions. So we will complete this particular lab as well. Okay. So we will see same thing scenario. We will see different scenarios. Not only that, yesterday Manohar has asked one scenario. So that particular scenario also we will cover today. And the dynamic solutions, we know by using parameters we are going to provide dynamic solutions. Then data flow diagram, okay, estimations, prerequisites, and required resources. These are the things we will cover. And with respect to demo, we know we are going to create storage and we will upload files into storage. We'll create Azure Data Factory when we will create linked service, multiple data sets, because we are not going to use a single copy activity. We are going to use it along with copy activity. We will use get metadata activity, filter activity for each activity. So we may need multiple data sets. So I'm going to create a multiple data sets. Then we will create pipeline. So we will see how you can debug pipeline. So you know already we have created breakpoints yesterday and we have executed pipelines partially, right? So that's how you can able to use the debug functionality, and you can run the pipeline and you can monitor the pipeline history or pipeline executions. Okay, so fine. So scenario is first scenario same whatever we discussed. We need to copy. We will have a input container, we will have output container. My goal is to move entire files from, it's not a move is something different. Okay, I want to copy files from input container to the output container. In my input container, I have a CSV file and JSON file. These two files I need to convert into CSV and load it into the output container. That is my first requirement. My second requirement is, yesterday Manohar has asked, right? So when you are loading these files from input container to the output container, I want to add the timestamp. What is current time? That particular timestamp I need to add it to the files and I need to load it into the output container. How you can add the timestamps for file while copying from input container to the output containers, we will see. Doesn't matter whether it's a JSON or CSV, we are going to add this timestamp for all the file names. Okay, so if you are not clear, some people, if you are not clear, I will give you example so that you can understand. Example, let's consider in input container I have a file called cloudpandit.csv. This particular cloudpandit.csv file available in input container. Now I am loading this file into output container. When you are loading this particular file into output container, you need to load cloudpandit underscore 2020 underscore 10. Okay, this month underscore today date 08 something 08 dot csv. So I need to change the file name. How I am changing my file name? If it is a cloudpandit.com, I am changing my file name to cloudpandit underscore year underscore month underscore date dot csv. I am modifying the file name, and this modified file I will put it in a output container. I am not modifying the data, I'm just changing the file name. I'm just adding the timestamp to my file name, remember. So that is what we will see as a second scenario. And third scenario is where you have a requirement, you want to copy JSON files and CSV files from input container to a JSON container and CSV container. Let's imagine in input container, we have a combination of CSV file and JSON file. Let's imagine we have two CSV files, two JSON files. Now, when I am copying these files, I want to copy into a two different folders. All JSON files, I want to load it into a JSON container. All CSV files, I want to load it into a CSV container. See, remember, container is nothing but a folder. Okay, as per the terminology, I'm using container, but just imagine it's a folder. Okay, so example, when you have a lot of files, what you will do, you will create a folder and you will move all those files into the folder. That's all. This container is also kind of a simple folder. In this folder, so in this storage, I'm creating two types of folders. One is input folder, output folder. I am moving files from input folder to output folder, but here as per the terminology, storage account terminology, I am using as a container, but it's nothing but a folder only. Yesterday we have proved it by using get metadata activity. When you ask item type, it has returned a folder. It's not written as a container. Okay, remember? So this is what we are going to do, these three scenarios. So we are going to implement it. See, the flow of pipeline is going to be same. That's why I just combined all these scenarios. The flow of pipeline is going to be same for all these three scenarios, and you just have to make a small minor changes to your pipeline. And next thing is the flow of today pipeline is exactly same as whatever we have seen yesterday. Whatever pipeline flow we have seen yesterday, same pipeline flow we are going to discuss today as well. Okay, but if anybody is not clear with respect to the scenarios, please let me know, because this is the new thing, and other things, other slides will have a little bit same content whatever we have discussed in yesterday lab. From tomorrow we will have a new slides, because concepts will change from tomorrow. Okay, but other things are same in like in other slides, but only the scenarios is very important. Please let me know if anybody is not clear, or whoever is clear, please ping in chat window.
Malay, regarding the second scenario, adding the timestamp to the file in the from the input container is because the file already exists in the output container, or is kind of different reason for?
See, input container,
No,
I am trying to move all files from input container to the output container. So in output container, if the file is already available, I won't copy.
no, we are
So we
changing
will
the
copy if the file is already available.
timestamp.
So
We are changing the file name, right, and
if
adding the timestamp, right?
hmm,
So the
okay, in
reason
that case
being,
also,
yeah, go ahead, please.
yeah, in that case also, just imagine we have a like example. Let's consider you have two CSV files, customer.csv, employee.csv. These two files, when you move to the your output container, maybe you are thinking that you have previous files. Even if you have a previous files, those files also will get timestamp, right? So let's imagine that those files will become cust underscore maybe 2020. This month is 11, right? Okay, 2020 11/07 today date. So you were thinking these files you already have in your output container. In that case, these files will be there with a name cust underscore 2020 11/06. That is yesterday file. Cust underscore
Uh,
2020 year 11 is month 05. That is the different date. You may have files, doesn't matter for you, because it's a totally different name. You can able to load the new files with the new timestamp. You're just adding the new timestamp. That is also possible. Your scenario also
uh,
possible.
yeah, got it. Thanks.
Okay, fine. Okay, thank you. Let's see, dynamic solution. We know we are going to, instead of hard coding the data sets pipelines, so even it is not a bad thing, because when you have only few things to do, you can hard code those things. But when you have many things to do, instead of copying same code again and again, what you can do is we can pass the values dynamically. We have discussed about all these things yesterday. Okay, you know, it's only when you start creating many similar hard-coded resources that things get tedious and time consuming. We know it will take more time and it will be a tedious task for us. Next, not to mention the risk of manual errors goes drastically up when you feel like creating the same resource over and over and over again. So if you try to create same resource again and again, the manual errors goes drastically up, that we know. Next, your solution should be dynamic enough that you save time on development and maintenance, but not so dynamic that it becomes difficult to understand. Okay, so today lab we are going to again create the dynamic copy activity, whatever we created yesterday. But yesterday we have created a dynamic copy activity for the container level. Today we will create a dynamic copy activity for the file level. So meaning I am going to pass file names one by one instead of passing the container names dynamically. This time today I'm going to pass the file names dynamically. Okay, so now what happens is, if you try to make everything dynamic like container, file names, people will confuse it. Okay, so that's why I will go one by one, step by step. Okay, so yesterday we have seen how you can pass container names dynamically. Today I will show you how you can pass your file names dynamically, but both are same things, same steps you need to follow. That's why I have included exactly same screenshots which we have seen yesterday for making data set, how to pass the values to the data set parameters. So for that I have included the same screenshots which we have discussed yesterday. Fine. So parameters, you can use parameters to pass external values into pipelines, data sets, linked service, and data flows. You can pass the different values. Okay, next. By parameterizing resources, you can reuse them with the different values each time. Okay, you can do that. Next, for example, instead of hard coding the container name in each data set, we can parameterize the container name value. Then we can pass the container name in as a parameter each time we use the data set. Instead of the container, we are going to pass the file name today. Okay, so data set parameter. See here, doesn't matter whether it's a file or container, steps are same. Go to data set, click on parameter, open a one parameter, create one parameter. Here, instead of source container, you can create a source file if you want. Okay, if you want source container, you need to use a source container. Next, here you see, once you create that particular source container, then you have to give here. Okay, if you want to pass subdirectory dynamically, then you have to use that parameter here. Okay, if you want to use file name dynamically, you will have another option here. That there you need to select this particular add dynamic content. Okay, next. See here. So once you click add dynamic content, okay, you will get that parameter. Whatever parameter you open, that parameter if you select, you will see the dynamic query here. Now, so once you select the dynamic query, that will come here. See here, container. If you want to make file name dynamic, you just have to click here and select it. That's all. Okay, next. So once you once you have used that source container name or source file name parameter, then you need to go to pipeline. In pipeline, go to activity where you are using data set. In this data set, when you select this data set, you can see here your parameter. To this parameter, here I pass container name. If your parameter is for file name, you just have to pass the file name here. Let's see, we know in a storage account, we will have a containers. Inside container, we will upload the blobs. Where this blob is stored, that particular information we will have in metadata. Okay, so CSV file overview, we know all values will be separated with comma or pipe, or it can be tab or anything else. Next, JSON file overview, we know. So JSON file is nothing but a key and a value pair, key and value pair, key and value pair. Okay, next, data flow diagram. You see, this is important. Yesterday flow only, but this is important. So today also I'm going to use a get metadata activity, and to this get metadata activity, I will create a data set which reference to your input container, and I will open a field list that is nothing but a key as a child items. So then what happens? It is going to give you all the files which you have in input folder or input container. You can call it as input container or input folder. So inside input folder, whatever files we have, those file names it will give. Example, these are the files we have. I will take all these things. Now all this file list, I will pass it the filter activity to filter out. Okay, so how you are going to filter out? See, at the rate activity of get metadata activity output I want. In this output, all the child items, meaning all the files I want. So for that, dot child items. Okay, so in these child items, what you want, you need to filter the condition I am writing here. Whatever files, whatever file names ending with .csv, only those files I need to filter out. See, ends with each file name, I will check. In whatever files are ending with .csv, those files I will send it to my result. cp process.csv, cp survey.csv. Okay, these two are the CSV files. Okay, now you will pass these two items to your for each activity. You will pass at the rate activity of filter activity dot output dot value. value is nothing but these two items will go here. As these two items received by for each, so for each, inside for each we will have a copy activity which will copy the activity, like which will copy the these CSV files one by one to your output. See, from input container to output container I will copy. So once first file is copied, that is cp courses.csv, once I copy to the output container, then cp survey.csv file I will pass. This file also I will take and load it into the output container. Okay, this is with respect to the CSV. Now you see, I will come up with the .json. So at the rate activity of get meta data output child item. So all file names I'm passing to the filter activity. In this filter activity, I'm using a condition here ends with .json. Wherever I have a file names ending with .json, those files I want to. Okay, okay. So those file names, so whatever file names are ending with .json, those files I will filter out, and those are the cost.json and emp.json. These two files you can pass it to the for each. So these are the items is two activity of filter.output.value. So these two items one by one I will pass the for each will copy to the output container. So I will pass it to the copy activity, it will copy to the output container. So this is the my flow. Clear, friends? So same flow I will use for everything, all the scenarios, for loading CSV files into different container, for loading JSON file into different container, and the next one is for converting JSON into CSV, and this CSV I want to load it as it is as a CSV. Then we have a next scenario where you need to rename all these file names, meaning you need to add the timestamp for all these file names. So for all those things, I'm going to use the same approach. Okay, so once I completed this particular flow, I will explain you the remaining flow. There are other like you can approach other ways also to complete this. So I will quickly discuss those things as well. Not only this approach, you can use the other approaches to complete this particular task. I will show you those things. Okay, fine. So estimations, we know we need one linked service because we are going to use one storage, and data sets we need a multiple data sets as per the reference. Activities, I'm going to use the multiple activities, depends if you want to copy activity, if you want to filter activity, if you want to iterate through multiple values, you want to execute, you want to pass one by one value for each activity. How many pipelines? I may use only one pipeline. So whatever data I am moving data from cloud to cloud, then you need to use a Azure integration runtime. Next, prerequisites, we know we need to know storage account, data factory, what is integration runtime and the types, what is linked service, what is data set, activity, and pipeline. All these things we are aware. Okay, now required resources are storage account and data factory. I will go and create these two. Okay, so let me just take the questions. Data flow is same. Yeah, Avinash, that's what I'm saying. So whatever data flow we have shown, so same thing you can use, or you have other ways. You can use other ways as well. I will show you those things also. Now come here. Let's create a. Let's open two tabs here. Open the. Come here. Let's click on storage account to create storage account. Click add to create the storage accounts. Free trial. Resource group is, let me create a new resource group. This is cloud funded BI master program. Click OK. Come down. This is my storage account. I can say cloud funded cust. Okay, these are the different storage things we have discussed about all these things. Performance. Standard means HDD. Premium means SSD. We have seen different storages. If you select, V2, what all things it will create in backend. If you select V1, what all you will get. If you select blob, what all you will get. V2, if you select, one extra thing is you will get a data lake storage. If you select general purpose V1, you will get all other things apart from the data lake storage Gen 2. And the blob storage means only blob storage you will get, but you will not get file, store, tables, queues, all those things. Okay, let's go with the blob storage. Only I need blob storage anyhow. So read access geo redundancy, let it be. Okay, so read access geo redundancy means we discussed about this replication where your data will be copied. So in same data center, same availability zone, you'll have 3 copies. In 3 different availability zone, we will have a one copy. Read access, oh sorry, this is geo redundancy, not zone redundancy. Geo redundancy means 2 different regions availability zones will have a copies, and for those 2 copies will have a read access if you select this. Okay, we discussed in detail about replication. Click create. It is validating all the details. Create it. Come here, let's create a data factory. Click add to create data factory. A research group is this, and East US. I'm just giving my data factory name is Cloud Pandit ADF V2. Okay, this name is available. Git configuration, git configure later. Okay, we are not going to configure now. Leave network configurations as default. Tags, if you have any tags, you can give. Otherwise, click review the script. Running final validation, validation passed, created. Okay, your data factory will create. Meanwhile, come to your storage account. Storage account will be ready. It will not take more than 30 seconds. So it's ready now. Okay, just click and go to resource. Click containers. So you see, we got only blob storage, only containers we got, but we are not getting any file store, queues, tables, data lake storage, all those options now because we selected blob storage. Okay, click on containers. Container is nothing but a folder, you remember again. Okay, input is one container. I want to create one more container called output. Create. Now go inside input. Let's upload all those files. Okay, desktop Cloud Pandit datasets. So let me upload JSON files, CPJSON1 and CPJSON2. Let me rename these things because it is not good to have this name. Something because data is not matter for us, so we know it's a JSON data. Why I am changing names, I will tell you. See, these 2 JSON files I am uploading. Upload it. Uploaded. Now let's select CSV files as well. Come back. Go to comma separator, first and DMP. Let's upload this. Because what is the problem is, if you say JSON.json, that doesn't mean that we have JSON content. When you copy data, maybe data will be converted into CSV, but file names will be same as we are passing the file names is same for your input and output. Okay, what it mean, I will explain you if you're not clear, don't worry. So that's why just to avoid such type of confusion, I have renamed this file name. So in these file names, you don't have any JSON. So order sales, you don't have any JSON. So previously we have a CPJSON1.json, CPJSON2.json. So that's why that JSON word I removed from the file names. That's all. Okay. Now I have these 4 files. Now come to data factory. Click on go to resource. Click on author and monitor. See, don't confuse friends. So very simple things. I will create the linker service for the connections, data sets for the creating the reference points from which folder you need to read the data, because you have multiple folders. Okay, let's say you went to some new village to find your friend. So it is very difficult without having any reference point. You should tell they will give some reference point, some address, right? So based on that particular address, that reference point, you will go and search for that particular person. In the same way, data set, in data set you are going to use such type of reference. Then your ADF, your server know that where it has to go and pick the file. Once it pick the file, where it has to copy this file. Okay, that's why we need to create a data set reference. Okay, let's come to manage tab to create the linked service. We know integration runtime, we have a default integration runtime. Click on linked service to create the new linked service. So blob storage, click continue. This is ls underscore Azure blob storage. Okay, Azure blob storage. We know by using account key, I'm connecting to the subscription. This is the storage name. Click connection. So I hope everybody know these things by now. Connection should be successful now. Yes, it is successful created. Let's go to author tab. Okay, let's create a data sets, because I want to make a dynamic copy activity. In this dynamic copy activity, I want to pass file names dynamically. Okay, fine. Now you see. One second. Cancel it. See how to create data set. Click here, click new data set, select your blob storage, search for blob storage, or you see here, select this. Is a CSV files. Continue. Okay. Here you see what I wanted to do is, let's say this is basically a data set ds underscore Azure blob storage. Okay. Okay, source CSV. Okay, my source is CSV. And this is what, select this linked service, because if you want to select any CSV files, okay, you need to have a connection. So I have a connection now. Select this. You can take any name, that is just a naming convention. Okay. Click input. This is my container name and first to as header. Select first to as header. See, I just outputted my container name, but file names I will pass dynamically. Remember. Okay. Click OK. This is like I have created a source data set. Okay, let's create a sync data set. This is for blob storage. Again, CSV files. Okay, this is, you have to say ds data set for Azure blob storage hyphen underscore. You need to say here sync CSV and use this linked service and select where you want to load this data output content. So I will pass file names dynamically. First to as header, select it, click OK. Okay, you have two data sets. Now you see you have a source CSV data set, sync CSV data set. Now you can move the files from this source CSV data set to sync CSV data set. Now can you tell me where it is referring? Source CSV data set is referring to input container. So this particular data set, source CSV data set, it will go and fetch the only CSV files from the input container. That's how I am going to configure my source CSV data set. I have a sync CSV data set. It is going to copy files into my output container. That is nothing but output folder. Okay, so let's complete this, then we will come back and implement the other things. Okay, now you see I need to create a dynamic parameters for each data set. Click on data set. So same steps. Come here, click new. This is source file name. This is what? Source CSV file. Source CSV file. This is the parameter I open. I know this. For this parameter, I'm going to assign a name. Name means string type. Come to connection. Where you need to pass this dynamic value here. Container is already you have. Only file name you need to make it dynamic. Click add dynamic content. Come down. You see open the parameter, select that parameter. That's all. File name you are going to pass dynamically. Source data set side. Okay. Now go to sync data set side. Again here also create a parameter. This parameter you can say sync CSV file. Sync CSV file. come here, let's select here, add dynamic content, select sync CSV file. Okay, in this output, I'm going to pass. So what file it has to copy? Okay, that file name I'm going to pass it here. Okay, so that's all you need to do with respect to these two data sets. Now click on pipeline. Okay, now this pipeline name you can change it, PL and data movement. This is basically I am moving data from DS, ABS, source CSV files to sync CSV. Okay, so sync CSV, I am loading the data. So this is my pipeline. In this pipeline, I will use my copy data activity. To this copy data activity, I need to rename this copy activity, copy data from source CSV to sync CSV. Okay, now so select this copy activity. You need to select your source data set. This is your source data set. Okay, this is my sync data set. Now go back to your source data set. See, it is waiting to receive your file name. So now this source data set is referring to input container. I hope everybody is clear on that. Next, sync data set is referring to output container. That is also clear to all of you. Now I need to pass one file. That is, let's say I will pass my file name is cust.csv. Okay, so this is the file I want to pick from that input container and load it into a output container as same cust.csv. File name I am passing from source and the sync. This is cust.csv. Whatever file name you have taken here, same file name you can load. With the same name you can load the file, or if you want to rename this file, you can rename it. Okay, now I am going to run the pipeline. Now my question to all of you is, whoever understood, can you tell me what file I am going to see in my output container? Please ping in chat window whoever understood. Avinash, we can take data set name as DB. Don't give generic answer, friends. CSV files. So here you need to understand. If you understood, you have to tell what file, exact file name you need to give. Here you see, I'm saying in input container pick cust.csv file. Now what happens is, let's say go to source data set. This is the file name I'm passing to this parameter. Now open this data set and see where you are using this parameter. You are using this parameter here. So if you use this file name here, what it means is cust.csv, that value will come here dynamically. So meaning now inside input container cust.csv file, we are going to read it. Okay, because that's what we are going to do from the source data set side. Okay, this is clear. Now what you are doing, go to sync data set side. You are again giving sync file name is CSV. Open it. What you are doing, you are putting that sync CSV file, that cust.csv here. What it means is, whatever data you read it from the source data set side, that data will be loaded into output container with same file name. So that's why sync CSV file name also I have given as cust.csv. Okay, let me debug and show you. Now currently you see we don't have any file in our output container. Let's see, our pipeline is running now. See, it's success. Come here, refresh. You see cust.csv. Click on this to see the content. Edit. Here you see I have a like player IDs and player names from 1 to 5. Kohli to Yuvraj. Okay, let's delete this particular file. let's delete this particular file. Go back. Let's click on input container. In this input container, click on custom.csv. These are the different customers. AC 1 to 5, same data moved. Now you see same custom.csv file. I will move it into a output container, but this time I will move it with a different name. See how you can do that is simple. Source side, I want to pick custom.csv. Exact name of the file you need to pass. Hello, can you hear me now? Hello, can you hear me now, friends?
Yeah,
Yes,
you can hear me.
hello.
Thank you. See now, yeah. So what we have done is we have changed the name to Cloud Pandit Custom.csv. Okay. Now let's go to output and check in output container. We don't have anything. Now come to pipeline. Let's click debug. Refresh this. It is running now. So true, it's complete. And now you see same content will be copied into a different file. So file name has changed to Cloud Pandit Custom.csv. But data inside date, whatever content we picked from input file, same content will be there. See 1 to 5 record, same data. Only thing is I have changed my file name. So that is up to you. If you want to change the file name, you can change it. Otherwise, if you want to keep it as is, you can keep it. Okay, clear? Now you see CSV files we have moved. Now I want to move JSON file as a CSV into this particular folder. Okay, so I will explain you another flow, but before you understood that flow, you need to have a clear understanding on the copy activities. Okay, fine. This is the one way. Now you need to create a separate data sets for that. Okay, let's click here, click new data set. Now my blob storage, select blob storage, selected. It's this time I don't want to pick CSV files. This time I want to pick the JSON files from my source data set. Select JSON, click continue. This is going to be data set for Azure blob storage underscore source JSON. Okay, source is JSON. Use ls underscore abs, and here I will select my source is again. I want to pick file from input container only. Okay, I want to pick the file from input container only, and the file name is I will pass dynamically. Okay, click OK. You know, import schema is it is inferring the schema. Okay, now I can say only this data set is enough for me. This data set is enough for me because I am going to pick the JSON file from input container and I want to load them as a CSV in my sink. My sink is CSV. For that, I already created the reference. I want to load this JSON file which is there in input container to a output container, okay, as a CSV file. We have an input folder. In input folder, read JSON file, and we have an output container. Copy this JSON file as a CSV in output folder. So to load this particular JSON file as a CSV in the output folder, we have a one data set which is referring to your output container. This is the data set. You can use this data set. Now click on this pipeline, click pipeline, click on this, come to copy data activity. Here, let me just rename this as well. Here, data. This is the data. I am moving from DSABS source JSON files to JSON to DS dataset, Azure Blob Storage dataset, sync CSV, because my sync is here CSV. Remember, sync CSV. So even though I am reading CSV files from my input folder, when I am copying them into output container, I want to load them as a CSV. That's why I'm using this data set. Okay, now come here, source. So select your source JSON. Now come to sync, select your sync CSV. Okay, sync side it is asking what is the name you want to give for this particular JSON file which you are loading into output container. That is okay, I will give. But source side you need to tell, right, what files you need to pick. For that, in source data set also I need to create the dynamic parameter. How will you create a data set parameter? Again, click on this data set, click on parameters. This you have to say source JSON file. Come to connection. Let's click on file, add dynamic content, click on source JSON file. Okay, that's all. You are using this. Now you go to your second pipeline, this one. Okay, you see automatically this particular parameter is waiting to receive the value. So which file you want to pass? Okay, let's delete this file for now. CSV file from output container. I'm going into my it is just I refreshed 1 second. Just click on storage account. Click on this. Click on containers. So go inside input container. Okay, you see you have a orders.json and sales.json. I want to load sales.json data into my output. Okay, come here. You just say sales.json. Sales.json. This is the file. I want to load it as a into my sync. How you want to load as into sync is I will give a new name. This you can say sales.csv, or you can say cloud pandit sales.csv, because file will be converted into CSV. Okay, that's why extension I am giving as a CSV. Now you just click
Malaya, can't we give file name as dynamic?
That's what I'm doing. I don't know who is asking this question. Who is asking this question?
Yeah, this is Ramu.
Ramu, we are already passing the file name dynamic only, this file name. So here you are hard coding. So don't think that in next pipeline I'm going to hard code. So I'm going to explain it step by step. As of now, I'm hard coding value here. But in next pipeline, these values will be passed by my for each activity dynamically. Just to understand that, I am teaching the base point here.
Yeah.
Base point.
Okay.
From here, let's go to our output container and see. Don't worry about data because I did not check what type of files, what data we have. See, this is the some data we have. Okay, so I just said this is a sales data. See, this data is cloud funded sales.csv. So this is, see, basically this data is JSON in source, but now it is converted into CSV. Okay, so this is how you are able to convert one file. You are able to convert one file from JSON to CSV, CSV to CSV. Now remove this. Okay, now you got some idea on these pipelines, because without understanding these two pipelines, you cannot understand the remaining pipelines in today's session, because this is the base things that you need to understand. Okay, any questions as of now, please let me know. So I will take the questions next 2 minutes. Please let me know if anybody have any question.
Malaya, this is Bharat.
Yeah, tell me.
With the changing the extension of the destination file, the data of the JSON is converting to the CSV, right?
No, very good. So for that, let me prove it. Say I'm not using the .csv. Okay, sync side I'm not using the .csv. It's not because of extension. I have created my sync data set as CSV, my source data set as JSON, meaning from JSON to CSV you are loading. But extension doesn't matter. See, now I just removed the extension. Let me reload it. Click debug. You understood, right? I just removed the extension.
Yeah.
See, it's successful. Come to output, refresh this. See, without extension file came, but if you click on this, if you go here, you will see CSV data. Clear, Bharat?
Yeah, Malaya.
Malaya, this is the CSV data or JSON data, the output one? Can you just open it again?
See, it's a CSV. It's a CSV.
Oh,
Let me open.
okay.
Let me open my source as well. You need to see the source as well. We converted, Nagaraj. We converted from JSON to CSV. That's why CSV. Okay, sales.json. You see from here. You see this is JSON. Here it is JSON, but we converted into CSV. Any other questions? Yes, sync is CSV. That's why source is JSON, sync is CSV. So then you are converting JSON files into your CSV files. Okay, fine. Now, so it's difficult. So let's imagine another scenario where in input container we have some hundreds of CSV files, hundreds of JSON files. It is very difficult for you to pass one by one file name. So for that, I am going to do a next activity, like next pipeline I will implement for that. So I will implement a pipeline something like this. Let me just show you. Okay, so we know, right, data flow diagram. Just we need to follow this to implement our next pipeline. Okay, which will copy all CSV files into your output folder, and same pipeline will convert all your JSON files also into CSV and load it into the output container. Okay, input folder is having CSV and JSON files. I want to load all these files into output folder as a CSV. I don't want to see any JSON file in my output container. All these JSON files should convert into CSV. If we have a source side also CSV, that file as is, it has to load it into my output folder. So whatever we have done now, we are passing one by one file. Let's imagine in input container you have hundreds of CSV files, hundreds of JSON file. How you will do that? So that's you can see now. So first I will use a get metadata activity. Okay, So as per this, we will do one by one. Okay, I will go and create the one more pipeline and I will drag the get metadata activity. So let's create a third pipeline. This pipeline name you can say PL data. Okay, PL data. You can say DS data sets of CS DS underscore source JSON source CSV2 DS underscore sync CSV. You are loading as a sync CSV, doesn't matter. You know, you are copying from ABS, Azure Blob Storage. So if you want to give that also, you can give underscore ABS. Okay, it's clear, right? So you are moving data from PL for data like data copying or data movement. You have to use data, and this data set DS data set of Azure Blob Storage. In this Azure Blob Storage, I'm moving data from source JSON and source CSV to my data set Azure Blob Storage sync CSV, meaning source that I have a CSV and JSON files. This JSON and CSV files I'm loading as a CSV in my sync side, in my output side. Now just to drag this copy don't drag the copy activity. What we need to do now, get metadata activity, we need just to drag the get metadata activity. We know this get data, no, you can make everything dynamic, okay, that we've discussed. So you can click on this get metadata activity. So if you want to give, you can give the get metadata activity. Get metadata underscore this is basically for get metadata for child items. So I'm just using this get metadata for the child items. Okay, fine. Now come to data sets. Let's create a data set which will point to our input container. Okay, let's click, because we can use the existing data sets, but I don't want to confuse you. That's why I'm creating a new data set. Click new, blob storage, click continue. So doesn't matter what type of file you have, just select any type. Okay, JSON or CSV, just select CSV, click continue. This is basically you can say data set for ABS. The child items. Use the existing linked service and browse it. Select your input container. So I want to pick all the files. That's why I'm not saying specific file. Just say first row as header and click OK. Now what I wanted to do is, now let's open our field list. Click here. Here we can able to select child items. We have seen all these other options as well. So it will give you your container name, it will give you container type, it will check whether container is available or not. Last modified means when this container has modified. Child item means it is going to give all the files which you have in that container, in that folder. Okay, clear? Now, so this is the get metadata activity we have implemented. Now we have opened child items as well. Till here I want to run and check what is my output of get metadata. Just click debug and see what is the output of your get metadata activity. It is going to give all the file names you see. See, child items means it is giving CSV files and JSON files. Now you need to understand two keys here as I mentioned, right? So child items means all file names along with each file type you will have. Okay, whether it is a file or directory, you can see here. If it is a file, if it is a directory will come, folder will come. Now in this child item, if I want to read one by one file, you need to give, this is called a item. Okay, this is important, friends. Next 1 minute is very important. Please focus. Okay, child item means all these are the files will come under child items. So each this is called a one item. Each file is called a one item. See, this entire set is a one item. This entire set is a one item. Now when I say @item.name, I will get cust.csv. When I say @item.type, I will get file. Okay. So when I say @item.name, first time I will get cust.csv. Next time I will get emp.csv, because if you remember, for each is going to pass files one by one. Okay, remember. So this is the child item. I need to pass it to my next activity so that all these details will be moved to the next activity. All these details will be a input for the next activity. What is your next activity? So you see here, we got all these 4 files. Now I am passing all these 4 files to my filter activity. Okay, so what filter activity is going to do? This filter activity will receive all the child items, meaning all file names. Then it will apply this condition saying that wherever I have a .csv files, those .csv files I need to pick it into my output. You can see here, you will have a output files. Come back. Now what you need to do, you need to apply a filter. So filter activity will be there in this conditions. Drag this filter activity. Just to close this, it's not required for us. Okay, now in this filter activity, you need to pass all the output of get metadata to filter activity. Okay, just to establish the relation between these two. We have discussed about this relation on success. If get metadata successfully executed and displayed all the file names, it fetched all file names, then only filter activity will execute. If it is failed, then filter activity will not execute. Okay, we know. So we have a multiple options. We discussed about all these things yesterday. Okay, fine. Now this is okay. Now come to filter activity. Let's change the name of this filter activity. Filter child items. So I want to filter the child items. Okay, first go to settings. You receive all the output of get metadata activity as input for your filter activity. Just click here to receive the input. Add dynamic. We know, we discussed this get metadata activity output dot child items. So all the file details and each file type I need to pass here. Okay, I passed. In this, what you want to filter out in these 4 files, we have a 4 files we have seen. Out of these 4 files, what you want to filter, just click here, come down, and you can say here, what you can do is we'll have a string functions. Expand this. We have discussed about starts with, ends with yesterday. Let's click on ends with. Here you need to say, one second. What you need to do is, this is the one thing. In this, I discussed, right? Each file name and type is a one item. So how you will say item is item of parenthesis. That is one item. In that item, you want type or name. I want only name of the file. In this name, whether this file name is ending with .csv or not, I want to check. That's why function I'm using is ends with. If this file name is ends with .csv, only those files you send it to my output. Okay, only those files you send it to output. That's what I said. Now till here, let's debug. Okay, let's click on filter output. See, only custody.csv, emp.csv. You received filter activity received 4 items as an input, and output is only 2 items. Okay, those are custody.csv and emp.csv. Now you see, if I want to pass these 2 items now, filter activity output dot value I need to use, because these are the values. Okay, each value is nothing but a one item. Okay, if you consider everything, this is the value. Okay, so if you consider each group, that is nothing but a one item. This is one item, this is one item. Okay, now drag your for each activity. See, now I'm just passing this output 2 files to my for each activity. So what you will do, @activity of filter.output.value. Okay, why value? You see here in this output, these particular file names, these two available under value. That's why just again establish the relation between these two. For each, I need to pass the input. Okay, before that, you can say okay, this is CSV file iteration. CSV files I'm iterating. Now just to come here, settings, sequential or batch count. We discussed batch count means all files will be loaded at a time. Sequential means one by one. Batch means parallel. Sequence means one by one. Sequential. Items. What is the input for your for each? I want to pass my filter output as my input for each. Output dot value. You remember, friends? So you need to say filter output dot value. Okay, then you will pass all the two file names to for each activity. Go inside for each activity. Here drag your copy activity now. So this is basically CSV files. So CSV files means we already created two data sets, right? To move one by one source CSV files to sync CSV files. Okay. Now you need to give the file name here. Source file name. Now I am going to get one by one emp.csv and custard.csv. Those file names will be passed by my for each. I need to pass those file names dynamically to here at the rate item dot name. So in that item, name is nothing but a file name. If you say item dot type, file type, it is a file. It will pass file. But I want the name of the file. That's why item dot name I'm asking. Just come here. So do you want to maintain same name in your output as well? Yes, then in that case you just use at the rate item dot name. Same name will be there in your output as well. Same name will be there in your output as well. Okay, clear? This is CSV. I'm loading as a CSV. Now go back. This is one flow. You just see here, this one flow is completed. Copy activity. You will get a first custard.csv, copy it, you will get a emp.csv, load that. This is finished. Now come out of this for each. Again, you implement a one more filter activity. This filter activity has to filter .json files. Now come back. You see here, I will use the one more filter activity. Just establish the relation here. Okay. Here you have to say filter. So how you will pass all the files is okay, output dot child items. We know, click finish. But this particular filter activity name I will change it to filter underscore child items and JSON. This is a basically JSON files I'm going to filter. Here what we are going to filter here. In this case, we are going to filter CSV. Okay, I don't want to change now. If you change this, entire things we need to change. So file name, I will just change here. So you know default is CSV. Here I am just filtering the JSON files. Now come here. We have passed the input for this particular filter activity. But what is the condition? Anybody can try to answer, friends. What is the condition I need to use here? Anybody can guess?
Well, items dot value.
Ends with here you need to say at the rate item dot name. If this name is ending with .json, those files I need to filter. Okay, at the rate you need to remove. You don't need to put 2 times at the rate. Ends with. So you will get 4 files. Out of those 4 files, whatever files has a whatever file names are ending with .json, those files I will get it in my output. Click finish. Okay. Clear, friends? Now you see here. I want to just give till here. So I want to execute. I don't want to execute this. I want to execute this and this and this. Okay, now you see, just click debug. I will show you. Okay, see in this JSON, what you got, see only orders.json, sales.json. what you got in this filter child items, you got CSV files. Okay, now you are clear on this. Okay, just uncheck. Okay, just remove that breakpoint. Now drag the for each, one more for each here. I'm passing all these file names to for each activity. Okay, this for each is basically JSON file iterator. Okay, JSON file iterator. We need to iterate through the JSON files. Come to settings. Here, one by one only I want to iterate. Now add dynamic content. So how you will pass from filtered JSON activity, this activity dot value. Value is nothing but a this activity output you are passing to this for each. You see here. Go here, filter JSON, click on this output. You see these two file names. If you want to pass output dot value, you need to use. Then @item dot name means this is the name of your files. Now come to activities, click on this for each. Here you need to use again copy data activity. So this copy data activity is basically to move the files from JSON. Source is JSON. Select your source JSON. What is your sync? Sync should be your CSV only. Okay, now select your source. Source is, if I say @item dot item dot name. Okay. If I give @item dot name here also, what happens is this JSON file names inside content will change, but outside, okay, like if I load all these 4 files from input container to output container, in my output container also you'll be able to see orders.json, order sales.json. Okay, because content will change because you are loading data from JSON to CSV. Content will change, but file names will look like same, because what you are trying to do here, sync side, if you give @item dot name means just you are passing exactly same file name. I want to change the file name. Okay, so I will tell you how you can change the file name. For now, let's load it. Okay, so this is what you need to do. Let me debug and show you. Let's go and check in output container what we have. Let me delete this. Come to this data factory and click debug. You see first what happens, all those things executing. See, these two finished, and the JSON file iterator, CSV file iterator, everything is executing at once. Two copy activities are happening. In this for each one copy activity, in this for each one copy activity, like that, everything is copied to output. Now refresh this. The file names you see orders.json, sales.json, because file names have not changed. But now if you go inside, you will have a content CSV format. This is what we confused. Okay, content is CSV. Go to sales.json. Content is CSV. Now I want to rename these files from orders to JSON to orders.csv when I am loading these files from source to destination. That is nothing but input container to output container. For that, remove everything, delete it. See, from output container, I deleted everything. Come to data factory. Now, this is the place where you are moving the files from JSON files. JSON files, you are moving from source to destination. So destination side also, if you use @item.name, so same file it will give. If source side it is sales.json, it will be sync side also sales.json. For that, I need to rename the file. I will rename is, I have something called replace functionality. Replace. So just use replace. In this okay, just you say item.name. This is the file name. In this file name, you can see something called .json. This .json content I want to rename to .csv. You can say .csv. That's all. Click finish. Now let's click debug. Come to output container, refresh this. Yeah, meanwhile you can monitor your pipeline here. See file iteration, JSON file iteration, CSV file iteration, everything is happening at once. Okay, copy data 1, copy data 2, both are like, so this is one act. Oh, copy activity name I forgot to change. Okay, if you want you can rename the copy activity name as well. Okay, fine. Now come back, click refresh, and see now file names have changed, sales.csv. Click on this and see. Okay, file names are good. File names are good and content is also fine. So this is the pipeline you need to implement to like convert those JSON files and CSV files into your CSV. Okay, you no need to implement this much big pipeline. I will explain you what is the easiest way. There is the easiest way that I will explain you. Okay. But next thing is, now I want to copy all my CSV files into different container, all my JSON files into different container. How you can do that? So I will explain you, but before that, any questions? Bharat, clear? Bhaskar, Avinash, Devendra,
Clear, man.
Jitendra,
Thank you.
Chaitanya,
Yeah,
Manikanta,
clear.
Murli.
Hello, Malaya.
Yeah, tell me, Sudhir.
Yeah, is it mandatory to pass copy activity inside for each activity?
How you will copy
Like
the data without
means
using copy?
no. Can I use output of for each and again I have to create this copy
Okay.
activity?
Do you know any language? Like
Yeah,
any C program or Java, Python, anything?
yeah,
Okay. So example, let's consider that we have a for loop for I in. Maybe you have list of values, maybe 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, maybe this for each, but in other languages maybe you'll have something like this. I did not remember. Int I equal to 0, I less than 10. Okay, then you will say I plus plus. Okay, something like this. You'll have all these values, all these I values will be available within this particular for loop, or you will have these I values available outside for loop.
it will be inside for loop.
Inside for loop. Very good. In the same
Yeah,
way, whatever values you passed from filter activity for each activity, those
okay.
values will be available only inside for each activity. You
Means
cannot
for this activity, yeah,
tell me, Sudhir.
yeah. Means it will take one input, right? For each every time it will take one input.
For each is going to receive all the values at once. 2 items it received. So you just understand here 1, 2, 3, 4. I have passed 4 values. Let's say you see here I values I'm iterating up to 10. So 10 values one by one for each will give it to me. Whatever logic you want to implement inside, you can implement it.
Okay, got it, man.
So now, likewise, all the file names will be given to for each. For each will give you one by one file name to inside activities. Inside activity we have used is copy activity. Okay, very good question. Maybe some other people has not asked. You have asked. Multiple scenarios at a time will be confused. One thing, Avinash. So whatever scenarios I am covering, all those are related to same set. See, today I have implemented only this pipeline. I have not implemented multiple pipelines today. I implemented only this pipeline. In this pipeline, I'm saying what all changes that you can make to get the different scenarios. Because if you think every scenario I need to take one day, same pipeline I need to repeat entire day, our training will go up more than 6 months. Okay, so these all are related scenarios. So I just implemented those copy activity because you need to understand inside for each activity. So those base points I implemented, then those copy activities I have used inside for each. But basically today we implemented only this pipeline. Small modifications I'm going to make in this particular pipeline now to get the different scenarios. Okay, I'm sharing the recording anyhow immediately, so you can go through 1 or 2 times to and you can practice it. If you practice, you will have, like, you can clear a lot of doubts. Okay, whatever doubts you have. Okay, any questions, friends, before I move? Paramesh, you have any questions? Murli?
Everything clear.
Yeah, Manohar is
No,
clear.
no, sir. Clear.
Yeah. Oh, thank you. Thank you. Okay, now you see, your requirement is now, let's say I'm loading everything into my output container. So I don't want to load everything into output container. I want to load few files into like all CSV files into CSV container. CSV container. I will create a one container, something like this. You no need to create, even ADF will create for you. So I will just give CSV. So in this CSV container, all CSV files I will move, and all JSON files I will move it into JSON container. Okay. So JSON container. Likewise, I want to do. But now you see, we have a two references, CSV and JSON. For these two containers, do we need to create a different data sets or not? Yes, we need to create a different data sets, remember, because one data set should refer to your CSV folder, another set should refer to your JSON container. Now, next question is, in this folder, whatever files you are loading, you want to load it as a CSV or you want to load it as a JSON? Okay, that is up to you. Again, okay, all these scenarios you need to think of. Okay, now I will just give you, see now, go inside for each. This is basically CSV files we are iterating. These CSV files as of now, where it is loading, open this sync data set, our target data set. If you open, you see here, we are loading all these files into output. Now, I don't want to load this data into output. I want to load it into a CSV. For that, I need to make a CSV. I need to make this name as CSV. But if you make name here, it will impact your other activities. That's why what you need to do, go to your this activity. Okay, here you see I am inside CSV file. I will create a new data set for my sync. Click new data set. I want to refer the new folder in blob storage. Click continue. So how do you want to load this file? I want to load it as a CSV only. Click continue. This is basically, you can say, CSV DS ABD Azure blob storage ABS. Okay, this is CSV files. I'm saying it's a sync CSV files. So separate, I'm just creating sync CSV, something you can say latest to understand. Okay, to just difference, I have given this name, and this is the linked service I'm going to refer. Browse it and select your CSV folder. I want to load all the CSV files into CSV folder, and you can say first was header, you are inferring this schema, click OK. Okay, this is done. Only one more thing that you need to do is, you need to create a dynamic parameter for this data set. How will you create? Click open, click parameter, click new. This is where you need to open your sync file. Okay, sync file. Come here, select here, and just select this particular file here, sync file. Finish it. Okay, finish it. Now go back here. You see it is waiting here. Now you know, same name you are going to give @item.name, whatever file name you have picked from your input container, same file name we need to give it in our sync as well. You need to say here @item.name, because CSV file means I don't want to change, exactly same name I need to pass. So I'm saying @item.name. Now go back here, come out. Okay, come down. This is my JSON iterate. Click on activities, click on this for each. You need to create a new data set. See, I'm creating a new data set. Click new. So JSON. Now that is up to you. Do you want to load that JSON files as a JSON, or you want to convert them as a CSV? Let's say this time I want to separate. I am separating CSV and JSON files. So I want to load them as a JSON only. Click continue. Okay, this is, you can say, DS Azure blob storage. Okay, sync JSON and latest. This is the container, and use the existing connection and browse it. This time I need to refer this one to the JSON folder. Click continue. Okay, you know, info schema equal to true. Click OK. Okay, now for this particular parameter also I need to pass the file names one by one. For that, create a parameter dataset parameter. I will create. Click open. Click on parameters. Click new. This is the parameter name. This is a sync JSON file. Sync JSON file. This is the parameter. You are going to select it here at file selection. Sync JSON file selection is done. Now go back to your pipeline. Now you see it is waiting to receive the file name. You can pass. Now you are not converting JSON file into CSV. You are passing as it is. So you can say @item.name only. Okay, let's debug now. See, CSV file iteration, JSON file iteration, both are happening at once. See, first two files copied into respective folders. Next two files are copying into the respective folders. So everything is done. Now go inside CSV folder. You will see two CSV files. Okay. Now go back to your JSON folder. You will see JSON files. If you open this data, you will see JSON format only because we have not changed the format. Okay, JSON. If you go to your CSV folder, you will be able to see the CSV files only. Click edit. So CSV data comma separated value. Now what I wanted to do, I will just delete this containers itself. Now you see containers will create, and inside that I want to load a CSV files and JSON files with a current timestamp. How we will do that? This is our last scenario. You see, very simple now. Click on this, copy data activity. This is CSV file iteration. So this is the CSV file. Sync is this. What you are doing as of now is you are saying @item.name, meaning whatever file name you have in source set, same name is coming here. Now for that file name, I want to add some extra things. That is nothing but I want to add timestamp. How you will add timestamp is, first thing, you have seen already replace functionality. Replace functionality, what it will do is item dot, you can see, I will tell you, item dot name, meaning it will get the, let's say, cust.csv. In this cust.csv, I will remove it. .csv, I am removing. It is gone. Okay, this is the first dynamic parameter you need to create. Next, comma. So once you get cust.csv, in that .csv you replaced. .csv replaced with nothing, meaning cust.csv will become a cust file. To that cust file, I want to add something called underscore. Okay, cust underscore. It becomes cust underscore. I will tell you how everything will concat. You need to use something called concat function. You can use here something called concat function. Concat, what it will do, it will add this cust is the name of file you will get, underscore. Here I need to pass my timestamp. How you will pass your timestamp is, here you see format. So you see format datetime. You have something called format datetime. To this you can pass your UTC time. UTC time. You will have a UTC time now to to generate the UTC time. Now this UTC time you want in which format? That format I need to tell. I want format this one. YY. You can say YYY underscore MM underscore DD. DD. Okay. Next, at the end I need to add the .csv. Okay, that's all. Now you see item.name, it's nothing but a cust.csv. In the .csv you replace with nothing, meaning you will have only cust. After cust you are adding underscore. If you don't want to add here, you just remove this. You will confuse, that's why I just wanted to add here itself. Okay, so cust underscore, you are adding underscore. Next you are adding YY underscore MM underscore DD. This date will come dynamically because we are using this particular function. which will generate this date, and this date it will give in this format. And at the end I am using .csv. Okay, same code I need to use in my another copy activity as well. Okay, just this is the where this is the query you need to write to add the date to your file names, to append the dates to your file names. Okay, sync file name is this one. Now go back to your JSON file, click on copy activity, go to sync. Why this came here also? Oh, I just opened same thing. Let's open JSON, this one, iterator. Click on this. Now sync. 1 second, what is happening? Now you see item.name. Just to click on this, add dynamic content. Here I need to write same thing, but this time .json I need to replace. Okay, in this file name sales.json, I want to replace .json with nothing. Then you will get a sales only. After that, I'm putting underscore, sales underscore. You will have a date. Then .csv. It's not a .csv. It should be a .json. You need to put .json at the end. Okay, click finish. Now just click debug. Now you see we don't have CSV container and JSON container. Those containers also will create dynamically. Inside those containers, you will see the file names with the date appended. Okay, go inside the CSV and see. See, file came with custom underscore yy like mmdd.csv. Okay, now refresh, that second file also came emp underscore 20201107.csv. Now go back, click on JSON. See orders underscore mmdd.json, sales mmdd.json. Okay. Okay, any questions still here? Any questions, friends, still here? Let me stop the recording, then we'll discuss the remaining things.